So I gotta ask you a question. Do you know how you perform? Now, before your mind goes down the gutter or goes down that weird tangent of what does Eric mean of how you perform is a key determining factor in living a life that is up to your highest potential. Now, I've worked with a lot of folks over the years in my accounting and tax practice, mentoring folks, and what I've come to realize is a lot of folks don't know or realize how they actually perform. So if you're interested in becoming the best version of yourself and growing to be the ultimate version of you, I would love to share with you a methodology of understanding how you perform. So stay tuned and we'll talk all about it. Hey, what's going on? It's Eric. Just consider me your big brother and the modern mystic. And as always, I'm here to help you find freedom and abundance. Now, I've been reading this amazing book called Managing Oneself by Peter Drucker, and it's been this beautiful methodology of helping me understand who I truly am and what I'm here on this earth to do. And so a lot of folks always have this question, what am I here for? So before we get started with this video, I would love to hear your notion or your belief on what you are here to do on this planet. Put your comments in the comment section below before we get started. And if you're new here to the channel, smash that like button because it really motivates me to make new videos every single week for you. So the question of the day is, how do you perform? Now, how do you perform covers a wide range of things. Number one, how do you perform in terms of how do you learn? It's really important to understand how you learn, so that way you could understand how you can really improve yourself. The next thing to understand is, how do you work with others? Or do you work well with others, right? And then finally, how do you execute on the things that you're planning to execute on? These three determining factors really help determine a person's level of success. And being more self-aware and understanding these facets in terms of how you perform will really change the way that you live your life. So let's first talk about, how do I learn? Now, for me, I learn in a pretty unusual way. Now, I look like a smart person, and I'd like to think I'm a smart person, but I'm not your traditional book smart person. Now, when I was in high school, long time ago, I really didn't have great grades. Like, I was in a high pressure Asian American household where grades were everything. And I still remember like coming home with C's on my report card and my dad being super pissed. But I just wasn't able to learn in the traditional schooling methodology that we've been taught in. And many don't learn the normal route that the schools are trying to teach us, right? And even my son, I have a 17-year-old boy, he learns vastly differently. Like, I learn by doing, and so does my son. And so when I was in school, like, I would get C's all the time, even though I would like to think I'm smart. I was in honors classes, AP classes, all those things, but still I could not perform in school because watching a teacher lecture at me and having to go back and take tests was not my forte, was not my skill set. But when I did things with my hands, like, I absolutely enjoyed the class of physics, because physics is applied science. You're putting science and you're doing something with it. And I was actually really good at physics. Strangely enough, I ended up becoming an accountant and tax person. So for me, and even my son, we learn by doing things by hand. We love manual labor kind of things. So like in school, calculus, trigonometry, all those things, I could fathom it and I could put it together, but I really didn't enjoy it. Whereas physics, which is basically applied science, learning how to use gravity or friction and all those things, I thoroughly enjoyed it. So I've realized how I learn is by doing things by hand. Now, everyone learns a little bit differently. Some people learn by writing. Some people take copious notes and never have to look at it again. That might be you. Some people learn by speaking. Like for me, I learn by doing and also teaching. So part of the side note of why I'm doing this, reading from this book, is because I'm reinforcing what I'm learning by teaching you what I'm learning inside of here, right? Some people learn by doing that. Some people learn by doing things, right? By learning carpentry or welding or doing things with your hand. And it's really important to understand how you learn. So what I invite you to do is, as you do things, as you pick up a new skill, as you learn new trades, take a look at how you're learning. Is it by taking notes? Is it by doing things? Is it by talking about it? Is it by sharing things? Because the traditional school system is designed to teach you one way and one way only. A teacher is going to lecture you, you're going to read a book and take notes, and that's how you're supposed to learn. But the problem is, we are all very complex individuals, and that's not how everybody learns. Schools and education try to put us in a certain framework, a certain box, and many of us live outside this box. But understanding how you learn will really change how you look at doing things. The next question to ask yourself is, how do you work with people? Are you a loner or are you a team player? Now, there's this notion or this idea that if you are a loner, you're just some weirdo. But that's not necessarily the case. Some people work really well alone, and some people work really well in teams. Just like identifying your strengths from the previous video that I put up, knowing how you work will really allow you to become really more productive and really more happy in work. A person who's a loner that's being forced to work inside of a team is not gonna do well. A person who wants to work inside of teams that's been forced to work on their own, they're not gonna do well. Understanding how you work well with others is really important. So I invite you to look at the dynamics of your existing work or career if you're working in a career, or in how you study or how you understand things. Are you studying in a group and do well with that? Or do you study alone and do well with that? Do you work well with a team, or do you hate working in a team, or would you rather be on your own doing your own thing? And that's important to know. And the challenge is, like, when you look at job descriptions, they're like team player, family atmosphere, right? Like, it's almost like people who are designed to work as a team work well or have these jobs, but the folks that work alone are like, what about me? Understanding how you work in groups is super important. The next question to ask is, am I a decision maker or am I an executor? And they're two vastly different things. A decision maker is somebody that makes quick, decisive decisions. Many entrepreneurs are like this, right? They see a challenge and they immediately take action on it. Whereas certain times decision makers aren't also great executors. Just because you made a decision doesn't mean that you know exactly the path of how to execute upon it. So understanding on how you make decisions and how you execute is really important. If somebody was to ask you a question, would you be able to make a decision instantaneously and decisively? Then you are a decision maker. If somebody was to ask you a question, but you weren't able to make a decision, but you knew exactly the clear path of succeeding with that question, then you are an action taker. Now, some folks are both, and there's nothing wrong with it, but knowing if you're a decision maker or an action taker is important. Finally, in terms of how do you perform, is do you perform well under pressure is really important to understand the environment of how you can work. Not everyone can perform under pressure, and there's nothing wrong with it, right? There's this polarity in life. Some people work really well in low-key, calm environments and produce stellar results. And some people love being under pressure. Now, for me, for years, I loved working under pressure because I was a big procrastinator and I would just push myself into these really uncomfortable moments and perform. But what I've started realizing is as I kept pressuring myself, my work quality kept degrading more and more and more. Now, some people thrive under pressure. I realized that I didn't. I thrive in calm environments when it's not under pressure. I have a defined timeline. I have defined accountability from my employees or my assistant to remind me on things, but I don't work well under pressure because I forget all of the details. Are you somebody that works well under pressure, or do you want to work in a calm environment? Again, there's no wrong or right answer to that one. So with that said, as we come to the close of this video, I would love to hear your thoughts on this process of how do you perform? How do you learn? How do you execute? How do you make decisions? Do you work well under pressure? Do you work well as a team player, or you're a lone wolf? There's no wrong or right answer. Your answer is your answer. I would love to hear what your feedback is. Just pop in the comment section below. And like I said, my name is Eric. Just think of me as your big brother or the modern mystic. I make videos here once a week on YouTube on all things freedom and abundance. If you're new here, don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Smash that like button if you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you again next week. Take care. Peace.